Hello and welcome to the Red Jacket Club. My name is Andy. I'm here with Brendan, and this is where we talk St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Baseball's back, and we couldn't be more excited. I know that we've seen three games. We're shooting this on Tuesday, the 28th of February. Happy birthday to all those leap year babies, whether you're celebrating today or tomorrow. Um, but three games in, and we have watched both of them. The other one was blacked out, and of course, that's when all the cool stuff happened. Um, but before we get into that, we're just shooting the baseball's back episode. So we'll be just talking about what we've seen so far, how we're feeling, what we think about the internet sphere, I guess, and things that are going on around the league. But Brendan, tell me how you're doing. What are your initial thoughts? Just quick things. How you feeling?
Well, you said it yourself. Baseball is officially back. It is spring training, though, so we're still a
Yeah.
couple weeks. Well, I guess I'm 30 days actually today. 30 days away
Right.
from opening day, and then we got the WBC starting next week, I believe. I know that Newt Bar headed out to Japan, so he's getting ready for that. Um, Baseball season for me, when it comes to high school coaching, has started, so I'm starting to get in the swing of things. Literally, um, literally swinging fungo bats all
All
day.
day.
Uh, so I'm really sore from that, but I wouldn't have it any other way because it's
Yeah.
what I love to do. So yeah, and the first games have been really good, and we missed. They didn't televise the Goldie and Arenado back-to-back home run today, and also Jordan Walker double. So that
Yeah.
kind of sucks, but
And I think Graceffo plunked Dom Smith, and there were
yeah,
some
that happened.
words shared between Contreras and Smith. And Graceffo isn't even on the roster, and Contreras is getting up in people's grills, telling them to quiet down when it comes to his pitchers. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the swing of things too, for the lack of better pun, and working out with a couple of guys on the baseball team. Unfortunately, tomorrow sounds like they're all getting together and just can't make that. But
Yeah.
hitting the gym hard, which is
There you
also
go.
hurting me hard. But we'll get through it.
Yep.
But yeah, I couldn't be happier, man. It always seems like winter drags on for so long, and then all of a sudden when you start seeing those pictures come from Jupiter, nothing's better. So I'm glad that we're here to cover it, and it's going to be a fun year as these younger guys are starting to get into the mix of things. But we'll start off with some Cardinals news. Really, the biggest thing to come out of the week was during the first game, CB Buckner was, I can't remember, was he behind the plate or was he just on the crew?
I feel like he was just a third base umpire.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he was at least on the field. He was part of the crew, and he's there with Angel Hernandez. So it's just the greatest uh, umpiring team that we could have had to start the season. But Ali Marmol famously got into it with CB Buckner, and there's a great breakdown of it. Part of the John Boy media breakdowns that he does, just showing how that interchange went down. Ali was telling him that he was old and he should retire and he's terrible at baseball. And then Buckner was telling Ali that he was new and he should shut up because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And with all that history, they come to the first game of spring training and Ali's shaking everybody's hand. And all of a sudden, CB Buckner doesn't want to shake his hand. And so everybody's like, what the heck? Like even Angel Hernandez apparently apologized for CB Buckner's behavior. And later in the media, you can hear Ali say that he has no class, or he's got zero class as a man. Really kind of poking at his character and calling it like he saw it. And so this kind of caused some uproar between fans and baseball media and MLB itself. I know I saw a lot of fans saying that Buckner should be suspended or whatever, and then it turns out that Ali was kind of the one that got reprimanded, and it's kind of funny because I've commented on Derek Gould's stuff on Twitter a whole lot. This happened to be a tweet that was, I can't remember who I was replying to, but the tweet came out saying that Ollie had been uh, called by MLB, and he wouldn't state whether or not he was fined, but he also said that he wasn't suspended for any reason. And I was like, since when can we not talk about how bad umpires are, or then say like this umpire is like a bad character? Like I didn't know that MLB could fine a manager for that.
Yeah.
Um, and then it turns out Derek Gould's like, it happens all the time. And I was like, holy, and then why are we doing this? Why is Ali even saying anything if it happens all the time? And then of course, all of a sudden it's not even an issue. But like, what were your initial thoughts when you saw all this coming out? Just like the day after the first, like everybody was happy that baseball's back, and then immediate drama.
Yeah, well, I probably have a different opinion, a pretty boring opinion actually about all this. I really think it's a non-story. I mean, it's like, come on, like it's two grown men that have beef with each other. Like, who
Yeah,
cares, right? Like, if he doesn't want to shake his hand, he doesn't want to shake his hand. If Marmal thinks he's a classless human, then whatever. I mean, that's just two grown men that have beef with each other. It's like the fact that it did blow up to the point that it did was kind of surprising. I guess we were just so early in spring training that like we just wanted to see drama
we're
or
looking for
something.
storylines, man. We're
Yeah,
looking for storylines.
well, it was definitely a storyline. I mean, people loved it. I guess people
Yeah,
clicked on all the headlines, but yeah, I've got a boring opinion. Just saying, let the grown men figure it out themselves. I mean, when it comes to fining, I mean, we assume he got fined
yeah,
because he wouldn't comment on it. When it
right.
comes to fining a manager for just comments that he said about an umpire, it's like, 50 years ago, that's the norm, right? And
Well,
they would have
right.
said much worse. Like,
And the
so
the only thing I like, I can't understand why it would be, I guess, bringing beef into the season. Like I heard a lot of people say that it could be the fact that CB could then like have could call the game not in
have
favor of the
bias.
Cardinals. Yeah,
Yeah,
be
have bias to
unbiased.
the yeah.
Yeah. And like, but then how is that Ollie's fault? Like, why can't he then say, like, I don't even care. Like, I'm kind of in your camp. Like, this is kind of ridiculous, but it's still kind of funny and like, uh,
Definitely funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hilarious because, like you said, it's two grown men kind of having a hissy fit. But I just thought it was weird, and now MLB has apparently come out and said we've talked to both parties. This matter's closed. Stop being babies. But I still like. I mean, it's the only news we got, so I grabbed onto the clickbait
Yeah.
that all
Yeah.
the sports writers were trying to get out there. So I don't know. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it
much what it
worked.
was.
Yeah, and well, it turns out they're okay though, because they ended up shaking hands, I think, the
Yeah,
next game. So they made up. I mean, at least they made up on TV. They're
right,
probably not on good terms, but
right.
yeah, they made it look like they made up. So
So it's still interesting to me that it's that a coach can get fined or possibly suspended for talking about the character of a person. That
yeah,
just happens to be. I guess like MLB has to protect its own. Like the umpires are their players basically. Um, so maybe it's that, but I think we've uh, all blown it out of proportion. I guess.
yep. Yep. So, I mean, with that being said, we should just move on to kind of what we've seen so far with the young guys and some of the big guys also. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to dig right into it. Everyone's obviously want to talk about it. Jordan Walker. So,
Mhm.
I've been saying for the past, I don't know, maybe last podcast I said it, that I don't want to overhype Jordan Walker. I don't want to be the team where we overhype him and then he comes out and he flops. But he is making it so hard on us not to overhype the guy. I mean, so far he's tied for the first in at bats this spring training. He's tied with Brendan Donovan with 9 at bats, and he just has an easy 1.111 OPS. So he's already hit his home run off of Cueto, which we saw. Which, if you're being devil's advocate, it was an 86-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. But I mean, he probably was starstruck, so I would have been. I mean, he was probably in middle school when Cueto was pitching, so the pressure could have gotten to him, but it didn't. So he went out there, hit a home run, hit a double today, and he's just been all over. He's playing well in left field, but that's pretty much all I've seen with him so far. He's really making it hard on me not to get pretty pumped for him.
Yeah, and I mean the biggest question on Jordan Walker going into spring training was how is he going to be in the outfield? And
Yeah,
immediately after he hit that home run, he goes out to left field and tracks down this ball at the wall, makes an amazing catch. Like
yep,
that's not an easy catch to make. He's right up against the wall
yeah.
and
It,
runs right into it. So, I mean, are we wrong? Have we been saying that the Cardinals should pause on this guy the whole time? And like, I know that we've watched him through Double A, but and like, I still feel like he should kind of take his time through AAA, even just have a couple months down there before we bring him to the majors. But I don't know. Are we wrong?
I don't think we're wrong yet. I mean, if he continues this pace, then it's really going to be a hard decision, but I really don't think we're wrong. I still think that he's going to be on the AAA roster,
Hmm.
mainly because of the point we made. He's not on the 40 man, so someone's going to have to leave that 40 man, and I think the Cardinals are really happy where the roster is right now. So as long as no one gets hurt, as long as everyone has a decent spring training, they don't even have to be perfect. They just have to have a decent spring training. Then I'd really think he starts in AAA, and then that's when the really tough decision will come, because guys like Carlson are going to have a really short leash. If Carlson shows any kind of regression, then something's going to happen. They'll open up a roster spot for Walker if he's doing well in AAA. But no, I don't think we're wrong quite yet,
I
in
mean,
my opinion.
that's who I'm looking at. I'm looking at Dylan Carlson. Um, there's there's not much else that you can look at. I mean, even Nolan Gorman, some of these guys that
The
I mean,
only other thing I think that you could do is just move Burleson down, but
right. I was just
you
about to say that too.
but he's still on the 40 man, so it's like that's not opening a roster spot. So
Yeah.
like
It
I
still
think,
messes up the service timing and all that stuff. Um,
well, it just, if you were to take, let's say, Burleson off the 40 man, then he goes on waivers, like you don't want to do that. So
was that is
that's
that just I mean, he I guess you're saying that he's starting the season on the 40 man, so that puts him on waivers immediately after because he's still in rookie status, so it doesn't even
yeah, it that doesn't
matter
matter.
about really.
So yeah, if you're on the 40 man and then you are removed, then you go through waivers. Like
Okay.
that's just how it is. Um, now I want to say I'm 99% sure. Now you have me thinking, but I'm 99% sure that's how it works. So if there's not a roster spot, who do you send through
Yeah.
waivers? And that's a really tough decision because you got so many young guys, and I
Hmm.
mean you're not going to send DeYoung through waivers because he's a shortstop, and we don't have another
Right.
shortstop really. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I just hope he continues on the trajectory that he
Yeah.
is, because if he's in
Well,
this lineup,
if we're talking about continuing on the trajectory and people like Burleson and Carlson, they're doing virtually the same thing, batting 250. Burleson's on base percentage is a little bit better, but not by much. Their OPSs are a little bit different, but not by much. I mean, if they have mid to below mid um, spring trainings, I mean, I think we have a serious discussion and kind of start to change our minds. But again, like, what do they do? I don't know. But so far, this kid has shown in that second game alone. Yeah, the second game, he hit the home run, caught that ball at the wall, and then in the next at bat, the 6'6", 250-pound guy legs out a single that was hit to the third baseman
yeah,
and
I
leaves a
remember
dribbler.
that. Yeah.
But at the same time, a guy that big isn't supposed to move that fast. Like
Hmm.
it's it's crazy. It is crazy. He's just a specimen.
And he does it. He makes it look easy too. He's just out there. When he runs, he just seems like he's gliding. When he swings that home run ball, yeah, it was right down the middle, but that swing was so smooth and
Hmm.
produced a 108 mile an hour uh, home run that that's just it's hard to do to make it look that easy.
Yeah, right.
So
Well, I think we've talked enough about Jordan Walker because I think we're going to be talking a lot about Jordan Walker
yeah.
as time goes on. Who else you looking at? What other guys are standing out to you here as we just started in spring training?
So a guy that is already on the 40-man roster is Moises Gomez. He's looked great so far. I've liked him coming into the season because he was the minor league baseball home run leader, and I was hoping that he could keep up that streak. He hasn't hit any home runs yet, and keep in mind everything we're talking about. It's only 3 games.
Yeah.
We're not. I don't know. We're not diving too deep. This is just what we've seen in 3 games, and he's looked great. He's got a 500 batting average, 1.125 OPS. So he's got 4 hits and 8 at bats, a double, runs scored, an RBI, struck out twice. That's fine in my opinion. In 3 games, I'll take it. Um, but I mean, really, he's gonna make it hard too. And you can swap. If you don't really see much in Burleson, then you could swap them with no penalty really. That besides just getting rid of one of your minor league options, which isn't that big of a deal. So he's really stood out to me. But what about you? Who do you think has stood out so far?
Well, I do like Moises Gomez, and I don't want to. I guess we can jump to a pitcher. I'm not always big on promoting pitchers because I'm I'm not a big fan of starting pitchers, I guess.
Yeah, I
Um,
normally get deep on the pitching side.
yeah, I like the offensive guys and the defense. But Matthew Liberatore, this is a guy that we have been like I had a lot of questions about because he was supposed to be this big guy, Rays guy, and the Rays are really into analytics, so you figure that they're really into knowing how this guy's going to pitch. And just last season, he didn't really show what everybody was hyping him up to be. Well, he comes into his, I think, first appearance today, 2 shutout innings, 1, 2, 3 innings. Unfortunately, we couldn't watch it, but it sounded like it was pretty lights out. And from what I understand, I don't think a lot was in play. If it was, they were all on the infield. So, I mean, he's maybe producing ground balls. Again, I wish we could have watched it, but it sounds like he made some adjustments. And if those adjustments hold, and he does more like what he did today, I don't see anything but sky's the limit for Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah, we got to keep in mind that he was and still is a top prospect, and he's been a top prospect for a couple of years now. So he's got all the potential in the world. It looks like he didn't have any strikeouts in those 2 innings, which, I mean, as long as he didn't give up any hits, then I'll take it.
Hmm.
We would like to see some strikeouts. I know the Cardinals have been mentioning that they've been looking for guys that have that strikeout potential, but yeah, no, he's looked great. Happy for him. And then came in right after him was Gordon Graceffo. He actually got the win today. He's if no one really knows about that name, he's another one of our top prospects, who's a little farther from MLB than Liberatore is. He's probably got another season or two before we see Graceffo, most likely. But anyway, he got his name in the win column, which I'm pretty sure he's probably pumped about that, just because I mean that's probably his first spring training. I would assume it's his first spring training.
Yeah, I don't think he was up before, and this was his first game today. So
Yeah. So yeah, he looked great. Well, I wish I could watch, like you said, but 2 innings, just 1 hit, no strikeouts again. So we were really using the defense, which, dude, by the way, our defense is insane.
even the non-roster invites, man.
I know,
What's his
it's
face?
ridiculous.
The third baseman. Why can't I think of his name?
Taylor
Taylor
Motter.
Taylor Motter. Where is he
Yeah,
coming from?
he's a journeyman. So he's older. He's not like a prospect or anything.
Hmm.
I think I put out a tweet. I said that Taylor Motter and Luke and Baker
Yeah.
are the minor league baseball, best duo corner infield. So
And and he doesn't look anything like his MLB picture. It
he
also
doesn't look anything like a baseball player.
it also says that he's 6'1", 195 pounds, and I call bullshit on that because this guy is
210 maybe,
he's a mammoth of a human
215.
being.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure 2023 spring training, he's had 6 at bats, 2 hits, a stolen base. I mean,
Oh,
and he doesn't look like he can run
no.
like Jordan Walker can. But he's hitting 333, a 762 OPS. So I don't think that he's going to make it very far. I'm sure he'll be in like minor league camp or something like that. But I mean, the defense that this guy has shown that he has, making a catch over by the bullpen in foul territory, it's pretty cool. Like it seems like everybody's on their A game when it comes to defense.
Yeah, him, our center fielder, Oscar Mercado,
Hmm.
just seems like a defensive guy. I don't know too much about him. Burleson had a diving catch the other day.
I
It
do
just
remember that.
shows,
Yeah.
I put out another tweet to reference another one, that it just shows that the Cardinals, and this is coming from an objective perspective. I don't want people to get mad, even though I'm sure non-Cardinals fans aren't listening. But I watch the Marlins. You got Soler in left and Avastil Garcia in right, and Jazz, who don't even get me started on Jazz. Jazz Chisholm in center field. Not
It's
a
your
good center
favorite.
fielder. He's not gonna win the Gold Glove, whatever he says. But you see them play the outfield, and there's just no urgency where all of our guys want that ball, and
Hmm.
they're not like Burleson. You don't think of a Gold Glove type player. I'm not saying he's gonna win a Gold Glove, but he goes out and gives it his all, makes that diving catch, and you
Hmm.
just don't see that from other teams.
Right. Well, and especially in spring training, like there's two sides of the coin. Spring training, you're just trying to get reps. You don't want to hurt yourself. We'll talk about some injuries in a little bit later, but and not all of them are accidents, whatever. But you don't necessarily think about guys wanting to dive out for a ball because you want to be ready for 162 games, especially if you are on the 40 man. But some of these guys, like even Paul Goldschmidt, he caught a ball that was
Yeah,
down or up the line, whatever your perspective is, and almost got barreled by the guy running down first base line. I'm like, geez, Paul, it's it's only spring training. But then the other side of the coin is for some of these guys who aren't on the roster, they're wanting to show off the glove. They want to show that they can make these plays here and now. And it's kind of interesting that on a team like the Marlins, not more people are showing that urgency because the Marlins, you have the stage is yours. Like
yeah.
you are there to prove that you can make a spot because there's so much mobility in the Marlins organization. Cardinals organization not as much, but these guys are still big league players. They want to show that they can do it.
Yeah, another play that just came to mind was Nolan Gorman glove flip to Mason Wynn double
Yeah.
play. That was beautiful.
And man, Nolan Gorman, what the heck did he do during the offseason?
I guess just focus on being a second baseman. I guess
Yeah.
last year must have been tough because it was pretty much his first year transitioning to second base. But I mean, yeah, he looks awesome. Maybe he just needed space. Maybe he needed the shift to go away for him to just run,
That
you
too,
know,
yeah.
to actually see his athleticism. But yeah, he's looked great. And man, we're just throwing out all kinds of names, but I mean, it's fun to see all these different guys. I mean, Mason Wynn makes it look so smooth.
Hmm.
Um, I love watching him. He's been hitting. Let's see let me find. You have
I
his
th-
stats up.
I can't
He's
remember his
he's
barrel rate
three.
or exit velo. I think his exit velo is like way up there right now.
Well, he's 3 for 5. So
Yeah.
obviously that's solid. You'd love to see that. He's got a stolen base, and it's early in spring training. I know that Marmal was saying that Mason Wynn has the green light at all times.
Hmm.
And he said that he'll probably start running in a few days, and it
And then he
looks
took
like
a bag.
then he stole. Yeah, so you'd love to see that. He's exciting to watch. Just I don't know, fun stuff, man. Everyone's doing really well. I don't think there's
Hmm.
anyone that I've been like, ooh, that they don't look great kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
even though Carlson has a 625 OPS, he's 2 for 8, which isn't bad. They've been
Mhm.
pretty clutch hits. He's got 4 RBI. So it's
Yeah,
like he's been solid for us.
he's
O'Neal's 2 for
producing.
8 as well, but uh, I'm not going to get too mad at that at the sample size that we have. But I don't know. It feels good right now, you know?
I can name a few people that I could say I have a couple questions on, and we can talk about them just briefly. But Chris Stratton looked like he struggled
Oh,
a little bit.
don't tell me that.
Jordan Jordan Hicks struggled quite a bit,
Okay, yeah,
and then
yeah.
Dakota Hudson, in true Dakota Hudson form, decided to struggle in spring training. I think no, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, he got saved by that double play. He looked like he was struggling, but his stats don't show it. There you
Yeah,
go,
that
Dakota.
was a double play to Taylor Motter, I think, right?
No, I think it was Donovan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donovan at third base. Yeah,
But
yeah.
Stratton struggled. He let up 3 runs, I think. No, 3 hits, 2 runs. I wish
He
that header would.
limited the damage. All
Yeah.
right. I'm
But
gonna defend Stratton.
I mean, like I said when you texted me, that is that I mean, even for Hicks, this could just be preseason jitters. You're just trying to get the cobwebs out, clean the cobwebs out, and get back into the swing of things. But so far, that I mean, Hicks has a 27 ERA. um,
Yeah,
Chris Stratton has an 18 ERA. I don't think it's as bad as Jose Quintana's ERA. I know he's not on the Cardinals anymore, but apparently for the Mets today, I think he had like a 60 plus ERA,
yeah,
because he didn't finish the inning. So I mean, it again, this could also be part of the pitch clock thing, which I think we'll discuss a little bit later. But it's all an adjustment period. We're 3 games in, but there were a couple appearances by those guys that kind of stood out as being a little alarming as
mm.
spring got started.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with my defense with Stratton. I think that I really do think he was working on his off speed at any point in the count. It just seemed like he was throwing more curveballs than he normally would.
Hmm.
But then again, I mean, he does. Even though his spin rate on his fastball is one of the best in the league, it is only 92 miles an hour. So that's something that he's gonna have to establish and work on. So
Maybe he
curious to
was
see
just
how
working off speed for that half inning that he was in, or something like that.
it really looked like it. I
Yeah,
mean, I saw a lot of curveballs and sliders with him, so I don't know. But it's something to watch moving forward. You know, that's one inning. Who knows? You know,
yeah,
we don't actually know. We're just excited talking about it.
yeah. Anything else stand out to you? I think we kind of covered a lot of what's happened in the first 3 games here. I think we mentioned that Goldie and Arenado went back to back pitches today. So that's really cool to see. I mean, that those guys are just going to be doing the same damn thing throughout, hopefully, the rest of their careers here. But what else stands out to you? Anything else before we kind of start talking about around the league?
Yeah, the last couple things, just really quick. Um, Wilking Rodriguez, that was the guy that we picked up on the Rule 5 draft. Or, yeah, was it the
I
Rule
believe so.
5 or
Yeah.
we signed him? Yeah, something like
No,
that.
Rule
But
5, and he was like in the Mexican League or something like that.
yeah, he was that player that I've talked about that I like from the Mexican League. Had a high strikeout rate. He pitched an inning. He did give up 2 hits, but they were little dinkers, so I'm not too mad about that. But I just liked his flow. I liked his mechanics. So he's on the 40 man, which means we're gonna see him in the regular season, and
Hmm.
then we'll see how he does there. And then obviously we got to mention the Brendan Donovan power that he's had. Uh,
Yes.
it's pretty exciting to see a guy that doesn't, not known for his power, and hopefully he doesn't get away from his bat to ball skills, which I don't think he will. But it's exciting to see a guy, and I know Marmal was talking about it that this offseason he was really focusing on that pull side power, but just not getting away from like the opposite field contact. So
Hmm.
if he can be a guy to provide us 10 to 15 home runs this year, then that's huge.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, the first home run was to right field, so it was pulled, but the second one was kind of almost center. It was like center,
Right center.
right center, but
Yeah.
more center than right center. Um, so
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like he's just recognizing pitches and running into them. I don't think he's because obviously he's getting other hits. He's got 3 hits total. Um, I think he's like I said, just running into them. But uh, you know, 3 hits, 6 RBIs. You can't from the leadoff batter. I don't think he's done anything but lead off, unless he was at the bottom of the lineup one day. But that's pretty cool coming from your leadoff spot. I guess I forgot to mention and had a question for you. What did you see from Adam Wainwright? I know that when you said dink hits, that kind of reminded me of his outing because he kind of ran into some unfortunate hits that like all they did was just fall in. So it was nothing like hard offense that was kind of giving him trouble. But how did you feel about his initial outing, and what do you think about him going into his year 40 or age 40 season?
Nothing really stuck out with him really. I think he'll be fine. To be honest, I don't really have too many thoughts on him. I think it was just a regular day in the office for him.
Yeah, yeah, because he does only have the one earned run. Um, but I don't know. I saw several people online, and obviously they're just online people, but they were kind of worried that this is, I guess, maybe a sign of not necessarily bad things to come, but maybe he stuck around too long. I don't know. Obviously, again, he's only pitched the one game, so who knows? But um, and now I think everybody's heading over to the World Baseball Classic, so we're gonna start seeing a whole bunch of other guys in this setting that we won't get to really detail in this type of detail, but it was interesting knowing
Yeah.
that he's kind of on his way out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, I think he'll be just fine. Um, there might be some signs of regression this year, but even if he's around what he was last year, I think we'll be pretty happy.
I'm hoping that he is. I hope that he doesn't, because watching him run out to the mound, it did look a little bit different than it did last year. But again, it could have just been that it was the first time running out to the mound. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's get into the around the league stuff because as much as we like talking Cardinals, there has been some drama around a certain Cardinal, and then there's just some injury news to kind of go over. Um, but why don't you give me that first detail?
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's heard Manny Machado has signed an extension with the Padres for 11 years, 350 million, and that brings their third player signed into their 40s. So
Hmm.
it's another gamble for the Padres. They're really betting on the first 6 years of each of those big contracts, Machado, Bogarts, and you got to remind me.
Machado, Bogarts.
Who was
It's
the other
not
guy?
Tatis. Tatis is to 36. Why did you do this to me? You were supposed to remember.
I was
Uh,
supposed to remember.
why can't I remember? I don't know.
I don't know, but you'll find that real quick for me. And
Yeah.
so yeah, he's signed into his 40s. Like I said, they're really betting on them doing well the first 6 years of that contract. And then Arenado had a statement about that, which was really good to hear because a lot of times baseball players will shy away from stuff like this. But basically, Arenado was like, no, I'm not mad that I opted into my contract. I'm getting paid plenty of money. Like, don't worry about it. I'll be just fine. Which we love to hear it because some of us might be thinking, oh,
Hmm.
Arenado's not happy, But no, Arenado is just fine. He knows where he wants to be, and he knows that the Cardinals are a better organization overall. So he's happy where he's at. He doesn't care
Yeah.
about that much money.
Yu Darvish was the
I knew it
other
was a
player.
pitcher. Yeah.
Yeah. But then they're talking about locking in Soto. They're talking about going
Oh
after
yeah.
Shohei Ohtani. I mean, they are just betting that they will continue to make money also because obviously all this stuff isn't up front. It's over the next 10, 11 years. But they're going to have to come up with this cash. And obviously they're businessmen. They figure it out. But like, how are these teams just offering up so much cash. It's confusing the heck out of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Darvish, Machado, and Bogarts are all past their age 40. Fernando Tatis to his age 36. So yeah, when I heard this news, um, I immediately knew that, and I was really hoping that he was just going to make the announcement that he was opting out, like we talked about last week, and then we'd wait till the end of next season or end of this season to where we could hear people, even Cardinals fans, yell at Nolan Arenado for not opting out. Um, and I'm tired of it. We already did this dance when he did opt in. And if you remember, I don't know if you do, I really wanted to find the clip. Maybe I'll throw it in here if I do find the clip. But I know that he was in an interview and he said that I didn't even want those opt outs in my contract. Those were my managers putting that in there. Like I'm not going to opt out of this contract. I'm fine with it. I want to be in St. Louis. Like there's no reason for me to opt out, and that's exactly what he did. Like I don't understand why anybody would have thought different based on the
It's because
man saying himself.
there's so many like shady baseball players in the game. I mean, I don't know, like a guy like Machado, if he did have an opt out after this year, and he like I could see him saying, "Oh no, I'm not gonna opt out," but then like end up opting out. It's just like you've got those players that are, I don't know, just kind of shady with it all, and they really do only care about money, which is fine. I mean, that's their right. I'm not knocking him at all for asking for more money, not at all, but
Hmm.
it does show the difference in character whenever you get a guy like Arenado who sticks to his word and uh and just doesn't really care about the money, just wants to
Yeah.
win.
Well, Manny's always been the guy to want the spotlight on him too. So I could
Yeah,
see him saying, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely opt out at the end of the season." One, to get the leverage back in his corner, and then
yeah,
two, so that everybody's talking about him for the time being. While he probably knew that this was coming down the pike, like he
mm,
knew that he was going to get some type of extension, but he also wanted to say that that there was a reason that he could opt out. And another thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way is I was listening to Baseball Today, which is Chris Rose's show over at John Boy Media, and Arenado kind of chuckles at the end when he says, I get paid enough. I feel like I'm all right, and he kind of chuckles, and Chris Rose said that it was kind of a nervous chuckle, like saying like I don't think I get paid enough, and I really screwed up. Like that was his interpretation of it, and I still don't see it. Like Chris Rose
uh,
is a baseball guy. He should know who Arenado is as a person. Also, I kind of like that Trevor Plouffe, who's also on that show, kind of reined that back in and said, it just shows you what kind of person Arenado is. And I said it first, like when everybody started going after it, I tweeted immediately, like, doesn't anybody think that he's okay with making 35 million a year? Like,
yeah,
who's
you did tweet that. Yeah,
who's who's not okay with that? And
yeah,
I still don't think people understand it. And I'm glad that he said it himself because I don't know, I was the only one that was listening to him, I guess.
yeah. And at this point, dude, I just have like contract fatigue because now I see 11 years, 350 million. I'm like, oh, cool, just
Yeah.
another contract. And
Right.
that's a what, 45 mil a year AAV, right?
So, well, not 11, I don't think 11, I don't even know where the calculator is on this thing. Um, 350 at 11.
31.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm.
He did get a $45 million signing bonus.
Oh,
And then I think like including what he got already, like there's some weird math to where he's making 45 million a year
yeah, that's
based
what
off
I
of what he
thought.
got already.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. Either way, it is what it is. Like they're really betting on these guys, especially a pitcher, to be pitching into his 40s. Like, there are, I think, two pitchers that come to mind: Rich Hill, who's fallen off, and Adam Wainwright, who, like we just said, it's kind of a coin flip.
Well, I will
Like,
say you also got Verlander, who just won the Cy Young. So
yeah, but
there are
he's
pitchers to do
surgically
it.
repaired Verlander. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
if Yu Darvish has already had Tommy John, like I think he has, um, like that's a couple years ago. That shit can get aggravated again. Like The body, especially a baseball body, goes through a lot, especially over 162 games.
Yeah.
So into your age 40, into your age late 30s, like
Yeah,
they're
well, earlier when we signed Contreras, I mentioned that I like the 35-year-old rule.
Mhm.
You don't like to sign anyone unless you got superstars like Goldie and Arenado. I'll sign them till their 40 season, but probably not after that. But
Mhm.
35 is pretty much the time when you got to stop. You got to get away from the bigger numbers because that's when a baseball player really starts to
Right.
regress. So yeah, Yu Darvish pitching until he's 42. I mean, if he is, I don't see. I don't know. We'll see. I can't predict that, but I just don't see him staying on the trajectory for that long.
Yeah.
Maybe he will, but I don't know. All three of them, no way. Maybe one of them will do well
Right.
until he's 42, but not all three.
Yeah, and I, I don't know. We'll just move on because I know we talked about these contracts being outrageous way back during the December episodes and everything. I'll just talk quickly about the couple of injuries that happened. One of them is to a Padres pitcher, Joe Musgrove, apparently fractured his toe during a workout session. Unfortunate for the Padres, but also kind of fortunate that they signed all the pitching that they signed because they got like more, they have like 7 or 8 starting pitchers over there. So, unless they were planning on going every 7 days instead of every 5 days, which reinvent baseball, see what happens. But they have a plethora of pitchers to use other than Musgrove, but I don't think he'll be out for that long. But again, it's just kind of funny. Like, what are you doing in the weight room?
It's such a pitcher like a pitcher's move, dude. Like
Yeah,
I don't think a position player would do something like that. Like how do you for I don't know. Yeah.
I
Just a
mean,
pitcher's move.
you go to the gym way more than I do. How often are you dropping something on your foot?
I mean, never, dude. Like why would I don't know, like how I would have to be there to
It
see
had
what
to have been
happened,
either
but
a free weight or a dumbbell. I don't know. Either way, he's got a fractured toe. He'll be out for a bit because it's his big toe. So I'm sure it's on some type of planting foot or messes up their mechanics, whatever.
yeah.
The bad one and the unfortunate one
Yeah.
is a young Gavin Lux tore his ACL during a spring training game. If you haven't seen the video, I don't like watching guys get hurt. Don't watch it because it's disgusting. But his body and his leg just went in opposite directions and tore his ACL. He will likely be out for the 2023 season because there's a lot of rehab that goes into torn ACLs. But that leaves open kind of a spot at shortstop for the Dodgers. They were really kind of counting on Gavin Lux to fill that role after Trey Turner left. It sounds like Miguel Rojas will maybe slide in there. I know he was playing a little bit of short for the Marlins last season. Um, but when you're looking at your everyday guy, and it's just a freak accident. It's not something that really he could control. He was trying to get out of the way of a throw over to second as he was running to third. It's just unfortunate that it happened, and it'll be interesting to see what the Dodgers do to try and kind of fill that void that was already voided by Trey Turner.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate. You don't like to see guys have this big of injuries. I bet he's thinking like, why did I move for that stupid ball? Like I would take a broken nose over a torn ACL
Yeah.
all day, and really, I it really didn't think like that ball, or it didn't look like that ball was really going for him. So he's probably just really upset that he made that decision to try
Hmm.
and dodge the ball because I don't think he really had to. And then yeah, there's that whole he was gonna be one of the Dodgers' important guys this year, and it doesn't look like it. I think they have maybe a close to MLB ready prospect, but they do have Miguel Rojas, who's predominantly a shortstop, so he'll most likely slot in there, even though he might be injured as well. So, um, yeah, just an unfortunate situation there that creates a hole for them. So, feel bad for Gavin Lux.
Right. You had said something that made me think of something else. Oh, and you got to think about his recovery and everything. Um, Dodgers who've been hurt in the past that have come back and not played as well as they did before. I'm thinking of Cody Bellinger. I'm not saying Gavin Lux will be Cody Bellinger. It's a different injury, but just still that downtime, even like the whole season, it's just hard to come back and be who you were before. Um, but different players are different things, but that's just kind of what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen 3 games, and what we've noticed are that the rules change, and they have changed, and we're not going back. The last part of this episode, we're going to talk about the pitch clock because it's been the biggest news coming out of the first 3 games of the spring training season. What apparently is being reported is that games are already ending faster, and I don't know if you noticed it. I've noticed it for sure. Um, Apparently, the average over the weekend was 2.5 hours for game time, and the Cubs even finished a game on Sunday that ended in 2 hours and 4 minutes. And I saw Jared Carabas, I think I'm saying his name correctly, um,
Yeah.
on Twitter say, "What are ballparks going to do with beer sales? they're If they're stopping beer in the seventh inning, the seventh inning is going to come around at like hour and a half in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how are they going to make any money on
Yeah.
beer sales? So I could see a change to where the ninth inning's now the cutoff, but it's crazy how quickly this has worked. I knew that it was going to help quite a bit, but I didn't know it was going to shave so much time. I mean, when you're talking Cardinals games, I remember Cardinals games, a couple of them that I went to were 4.5 hours. Like there were a couple long games last season, and our games are already ending in 2.5 hours. What are your first initial thoughts on the pitch clock, and how are you thinking it'll kind of progress as the season goes along?
I freaking love it, dude. I
Yeah.
think the pace is just exactly what we needed. I think it's super refreshing to see pitchers just get up there and just pitch. And I think it's super important to have that pace. And I like what John Boy said on the podcast, this last podcast, is that it's not about the length of the game, it's about the pace of the game. If we had a 3-hour game at this pace, then so be it. It's fine. But it was all that time that pitchers would take just to get on the mound. That's what we're cutting out. We're not cutting out any gameplay. We're just cutting out the fat of the game, which is a reference I made a few episodes back. I love it, and obviously everyone probably has seen the clip of the bases loaded strikeouts to end of the
Hmm.
game. Obviously, something probably has to be done there, and there probably will be at some point, or the players will be totally accustomed to it at that point. Come around to playoffs, or if it's an important point in the game. But yeah, my first initial thoughts are it's awesome, and then the shift going away is just the best. I mean, I love it.
Yeah. Yes, the shifts going away have been so much. It's so refreshing. I'll talk about pitch clock first. I have a couple problems with pitch clock, especially after seeing the bottom. So what you were referencing was the bottom of the ninth, Braves, Red Sox tie game in spring training, so it doesn't matter. But it was just the perfect storm. It was a tie game, bottom of the ninth, full count, everything you
Bases
think
loaded.
of. Yeah, it's a backyard baseball play, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the last pitch of the game, and there's a clock violation. And there are a couple of questions about what happened. I mean, the batter was in the box, the catcher wasn't even crouched, but they were saying that if he's at least behind the plate, it's still. But like, how is he going to catch the ball if the pitcher throws it? I don't know. It was just mayhem. And my first initial reaction was, this is stupid. I still agree that it's stupid. And the reason I say that it's stupid is because, and I said this before, it's crazy that the batters only have until 8 seconds is left on the clock that they have to be ready for the pitch. My position still stands that the pitcher has full control of the game. He always has and he always will. And the reason that he gets more time than a guy who's sitting there waiting for him or trying to think about what's coming next, why not just give him the full time? Why can't he have 15 to 20 seconds too? Like that only makes sense to me. If either of them aren't ready, then both of them aren't ready. If one of them's not ready, the other one has till the end of the clock to be ready. It's just weird to me that that's the stipulation that came out of whatever meetings they had in the CBA. And an interesting tidbit that I saw from Jack Flaherty, our own Jack Flaherty, they apparently brought up ninth inning provisions as players. They were like, you got to understand the ninth inning, especially deep into the season or even in the playoffs. It's pretty stressful to be there as a batter, as a pitcher. Like, we need to have more time. Like, I get speeding up the front part of the game, but what about the latter half of the game where it's more important?
Mm.
Bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, all this stuff. And he said that MLB kind of told him to shove it. They were like, it's going to be a blanket rule, and you guys are going to have to adjust. And obviously, rules can always change. We're only 3 games in, but it was pretty glaring that, like, this is it. You have to stick to these rules. And I mean, for this season, it's going to be a big adjustment period, especially for those guys who aren't seeing it every day going over to the WBC.
Yeah, it is weird, the whole batter clause thing. Like, what does ready mean? Like, that's such a subjective thing. And, ready at 8 seconds, it's like, okay, like, why exactly does he need to make eye contact with the pitcher at 8 seconds?
Right.
In my opinion, being in the box can just be considered ready. So that
Hmm.
pitcher can just throw it at
Throw the
any
ball.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that is one caveat that I'm a little weird about. But the good thing is we haven't seen, those are very rare circumstances. And if that was like a 9-0 baseball game, 0-2 count, and then it's the pitch clock violation, then it gets overlooked. But it is good that it came in such a big situation so that it kind of sheds some light on, okay, well, what if we are in a World Series game? What
Hmm.
if that's game 7 in that situation?
Yeah.
That literally cannot happen. For the sport of baseball, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
So that's like, I don't know. I don't know how to compare it to another sport at the top of my head, but there has to be something in there where, I don't know, it just can't happen, especially in the playoffs. So that's the only thing. That's my only gripe about it, which it's pretty much everyone's gripe at this point. But
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think the pitch clock should go away for, like, at all. I think that it's amazing for the sport, and I mean, we have the fortunate, or we are fortunate to be able to see a different game growing up, where the idols of our team are guys who played at a faster pace. So I'm talking Willie McGee, Ozzie Smith, Lou Brock, freaking Bob Gibson. That guy, if he was the pitch clock. So, like, we kind of have a different mindset, I think, than most fans, at least maybe me and you, of how the sport can be played at a faster pace and played well. But there's just a couple of things that I think they need to iron out before before they just implemented this blank slate, like no rule, no, like, wiggle room. But um, we'll see. I'm sure guys will adjust. It'll take some time, but it'll be interesting how long it does take some guys. I think part of the reason that Jose Quintana struggled so much today was because of the pitch clock. He said that he felt rushed. So it's going to affect pitchers. It's going to affect batters, and we'll see how it goes. To your point about the shift going away, you don't know how happy it makes me to see balls up the middle be base hits again. I
the
mean,
best.
it especially when guys freaking just rope them. Like, there used to be line drives that just became outs. And that's the suckiest part, because you, like, when you're learning to hit a baseball, your approach is right back up the middle. You want to send it right back where the ball is coming from. And then all of a sudden that became an out. So then you're thinking about, well, now I got to pull it over here, or I got to try to hit it the other way, which is still a good approach, but it messes up your whole rhythm of being a hitter. And the fact that that's now gone, like, still you can see guys that are getting closer to second base on either side, but make them have to run to it. Like, that's how, I mean, there's no reason a ball roped up the middle should be an out. So I'm happy to see that come back because it was so frustrating. And I even had to kind of remind myself, like I saw one of the Nationals players hit a ball just kind of trickled up the middle, but it was still like a base hit. And I was like, why is that? Who's not there? Why are we why are we not throwing this guy out? And I was like, oh yeah, they can't play over there anymore.
Hmm.
So that was pretty refreshing, even though it was a hit against us.
Yeah, the last thing that I had to say before we wrap up is, when you are in the batting cage, like the number one thing to know that you're on time with the baseball is to hit it right in the back of the cage. Like if you can just do that consistently, that's kind of your goal. Is just hit it to the back of that cage. It's like super satisfying when you do it too. And then when you hit 2 or 3 in a row, you're like, okay, I'm on time. I feel really good. And then yeah, like you said, those were outs for the last couple of years. So seeing these stars like Juan Soto hit a ball up the middle, just having their same approach they have their whole life, it's pretty nice. It's a good feeling.
For sure, man. Well, I know we're only 3 games in, and I know that we got a whole month of spring training ahead of us before we get to opening day. But you and I couldn't be more excited. You got your SLU baseball hoodie on. You're in full
Yep.
swing as in terms of high school baseball. I want to be in full swing in terms of Vipers baseball. That's the STL MSBL, folks. The best league in the Midwest for men's mediocre baseball. But I think that's it. I think we covered all our thoughts so far. I'm excited. I'm glad that we're back. We finally get to cover baseball for the first time after watching it for 20 some odd years. So this is great. This is going to be fun. Um, I didn't say it at the outset. I'll say it here. If this is your first time watching and you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. We're trying to do this twice a week, hopefully as the season gets started, so that we can wrap up some series recaps for you, give you all our info, and hopefully catch you up on some Cardinals news. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, red_jacket club. There you'll find us just to give our dopey thoughts on the internet or shed some more light on Cardinals news. But other than that, like, share, subscribe, do all the fun stuff for us. That way we grow and we get to have more fun with you guys. This has been the Red Jacket Club. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you for joining the club, and we'll see you next time.